Welcome to the webinar on vision and learning. We hope that this information is helpful and that you will share it with others. In this webinar, we will give you a brief overview of our complex visual system, describe and demonstrate how lesser known vision problems can affect kids in the classroom and how they might be manifest. Then we'll talk about how we can help. I will leave you with some additional resources if you want to learn more. We also have some testimonials from some individuals willing to share their experiences. Many of us think of vision as 20/20 eyesight. This is only one part of a very complicated visual system. This is a simplified diagram of different aspects of vision. Eyesight is the portion that relates to seeing 20/20, or how clearly we can see at a distance of 20 feet. We are most familiar with eyesight because when we can't see clearly, we know it's time to go see the eye doctor and get glasses or contact lenses to compensate. We talk as if seeing 20/20 is perfect vision, but as this diagram demonstrates, there are other aspects of vision that are equally important. It is important to see clearly at every distance, not just at 20 feet. Inside the eye, there are small ciliary muscles that constantly focus the lens in the eye so that we can see clearly wherever we look. This is the eye focusing aspect or accommodation system. Hopefully you're seeing this presentation clearly. Now look at something at a different distance than the screen. If your accommodative system is working properly, whatever you look at should be clear. Some of us may use reading glasses or bifocals to see things nearer because our accommodative system loses flexibility as we age. This is normal for those of us over 40, but school-age children should normally have no problem changing focus from one distance to another. We have two eyes, which allows us to see in 3D. It helps us gather information that is necessary to move through our world and to detect how things are moving around us. While the muscles inside our eyes are working to keep images clear, there are muscles outside our eyes working to keep both eyes focused at the same spot. This is called convergence and is part of the eye teaming aspect. To converge means to come together. When we look at something at a distance, our eyes are pointed almost parallel. But as we look at things close to us, our eyes have to turn in and precisely focus on the same point to make it clear and single. Another aspect of vision is eye tracking. Our eyes are often in motion, either following a moving object or moving across text, or looking from one thing to another. There are two types of eye movements: smooth movements, called pursuits, and jumping movements, called saccades. You may have heard the eye compared to a camera. They both have openings that light can enter through. They have lenses that focus that light, and in an old camera, that light landed on the film. In the eye, it lands on the retina. All the previous visual skills just get us a clear single image on the retina. But the pictures on the film or retina have no meaning or significance until they are developed. The brain is where the pictures are developed. In digital cameras, it all happens so fast, it's easy to forget that there must be a processing system for us to be able to see the pictures we take. Failing to consider what happens next with our vision is like never seeing the pictures we worked so hard to take. This part of vision perception, all happens in the brain. Once visual information gets to the back of the eye, it travels to the visual cortex in the back of the brain. Once there, this information is sent on to over 80% of the brain. This involves functions most of us never even consider are happening because it is so smooth and automatic. What do I see? Where is it? Do I need to take action? While reading, do I recognize this word? Do I know how to pronounce it? What does it mean? How is it connected to the other words? What we see is connected to our balance, eye-hand coordination, memory, communication, learning, and more. This is the aspect of vision that includes being able to recognize an object from different angles, and then identify symbols that are different depending on their orientation, like the letters B, D, P, and Q. Now take this photo, for example. This is a copy of an actual photograph of an actual thing. If you already know what it is, it takes little effort to understand what this is a picture of, but many people cannot tell. It has no meaning to them. They can see it clearly, singly, but they still cannot tell what it is. Can you? Sometimes all we need is a small piece of information for our brains to make sense of this picture, but sometimes it is not. If you know that it's a picture of a cow, can your brain interpret the visual information? Is that enough for you to understand what you see? Sometimes we need a little more information to make sense of things. Here is the cow's head outlined in red. 2 black ears, 2 black eyes. The horizontal border between the black and white that runs from the ear over to the right of the photo is the back of the cow. Now can you see it? This part of vision doesn't have anything to do with glasses or contacts, but is definitely necessary to succeed in the classroom and other areas in life. Imagine a child in school who is struggling with vision processing. They get told to try harder, stop being lazy. Maybe they are offered a prize if they can answer correctly. But those methods of motivation won't work if they are dealing with a problem in their visual processing centers. That was a very quick overview of a very complex system, but hopefully you will recognize that there is more to vision than 20/20 and more symptoms of vision problems than not being able to see clearly. The Utah School Vision Screening Handbook says, many symptoms of vision problems are behavioral in nature and may be confused with symptoms of ADD, ADHD, or autism spectrum disorder. The following symptoms are most likely to be observed in the classroom by the teacher or teacher's aide. Vision problems should be addressed quickly so the student can perform at his or her best. Early intervention is of utmost importance. Here are some examples of what a child may be experiencing if their visual system isn't working properly. In the purple box, we see that a clear single image can go blurry or double. Imagine what you would feel and how you would react if this happened to you while you were trying to read and learn. My first reactions are to squint and blink a lot. The yellow box demonstrates inaccurate eye movements. Can you hear what a child may sound like if trying to read this out loud? Do you think they would volunteer? How could they make any sense of what is on the page? The green box shows how the clearness goes in and out because the accommodation system is not working properly. Again, I would probably blink a lot, read very slowly, waiting for things to clear, or maybe move my paper in and out trying to find a clear distance. Wouldn't a child tell someone if this was happening? Studies show that they don't, since they don't have any other frame of reference for what normal is other than their own experience. They don't know that things could be wrong. Since they are not likely to tell adults that these things are happening, we need to be aware of the symptoms to find out what is going on. The list of symptoms we will discuss here are from the Utah State Vision Screening Handbook. There are other lists and there may be other symptoms, but this is a good place to start. First, just observe. Do you notice them tilting their head, squinting, closing or obstructing one eye? Do they have an eye that doesn't seem to point where they are looking? In this picture, the eye turn is quite extreme. Sometimes it's not as obvious. Maybe their eyes are watering, appear clouded, or even have different sized pupils. In the handbook, it suggests that children may complain about these symptoms, that the words move around. They may complain about being nauseous while reading. Their eyes are burning, blurry, or sensitive to light. Maybe they can't pinpoint it, but they just can't see well, and their eyes get tired. Even if they don't complain, you may see behaviors that are caused by these symptoms. They may lose their place, skip or reread lines or words if they're having a difficulty tracking. Poor accommodation would make it difficult to copy from the board. If they know it's going to be hard, they may want to avoid the work altogether. If there is misalignment in their writing and math, it could be a symptom that their visual system has some misalignment of its own. Things may take longer when their visual system isn't working properly. They may hold their work or screen too close. They may be clumsy due to poor peripheral vision. They may read slowly in small chunks, mouth the words, or read aloud. They may get letters or whole words backwards due to faulty eye movements or double images that make it difficult to determine the orientation of some letters. Like I talked about earlier, lots of blinking, rubbing, squirming, and understandably, frustration. So now, with a little more understanding of the visual system and understanding of what some of the symptoms might look like, what can be done? What can we do? The Utah State PTA mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for children. This is the purpose of this webinar. We hope it will be useful in empowering families, giving them the information and tools to help their children reach their potential. We hope that local PTA organizations will use this webinar and any other programs and resources to empower families. As you might imagine, vision is not only a part of a child's physical well-being, but mental, emotional, and social as well. A resolution on vision and learning problems was adopted in 2015 and renewed this year. In support of this, the PTA was involved in and supportive of the amended school vision screening law that now includes an additional vision screening procedure to help detect these other vision problems not detected in the traditional school vision screening. Teachers, you are with our children many hours of the day and have the unique opportunity to observe them while learning and reading. Be aware of the symptoms. Work with the PTA, school nurse, and parents to determine if these symptoms might be due to a vision problem. We know that you are not qualified to diagnose. Even the school nurse won't diagnose the problem, but you can advocate for the student to get the evaluation that they need done. Visual skills are developmental. Many problems are linked to lack of developmental activities while they are young. So teachers, you can also help by adding some developmental activities to your teaching tool belt. We know that the teaching style is moving more and more toward the use of personal screen devices. This can put a lot of stress on the visual system. Try to balance near work with activities that are active. Use the whole body, involve multiple senses. Activities where the child crosses their body's midline, like clapping games, develop communication pathways between the brain hemispheres. And when doing up close work, encourage good visual hygiene. Students who are identified as having a vision problem may have a doctor's note suggesting some accommodations to be made in the classroom. But without a doctor's note, you could consider making some accommodations for your students as you see the need and benefit. If a child is obviously struggling with long periods of near work, let them have breaks. Working with an inefficient visual system is exhausting. Let them hear the instructions, assignments, and problems instead of having to read them. Allow them extra time, and allow them to use tools like a finger or rule to help them keep their place. It would be ridiculous to expect a broken leg to get better by running on it more. The same is true for the visual system. It will not get better just by working it harder. Parents, you are key. Observe your children. Talk with them about their reading and homework. Be familiar with and look for the symptoms. I know we already have so much on our plate. We are so busy. But if we can just remember that if our kids hate to read and do their homework, or are slower than we think they should be, or if we are getting frustrated with them at homework time, then something is not right. There is a very reliable symptom checklist found on the COVD website called the Quality of Life Survey. It can help you determine if your child needs to see an eye doctor. Parents, remember that a school vision screening is not a substitute for a comprehensive eye exam. A pediatrician is not educated to this extent in vision either. Find a good eye doctor and ask that they evaluate all aspects of vision. Work with your child's teacher to find ways to help your child succeed, and encourage good visual hygiene at home. Since visual hygiene is something everyone can help with, we'll take just a minute to go over what that means. In short, it's just a few practices that we can adopt to help alleviate eye strain when doing sustained near work and work on screens. First, remember the 20-20-20 rule. This means to take a break from near work or any screen work every 20 minutes. The break only needs to be 20 seconds long, but you need to look at something 20 feet away for that 20 seconds. So let's do that right now. Look away from the screen, across the room, out the window. Feel free to stand up and stretch your other muscles as well. Do not look at your phone. Imagine the muscles inside your eye and the ones outside that have been working hard to keep your vision clear and single during this presentation. They can now take a rest. Done. See, that's not very long at all. Another component of visual hygiene is posture. When we work on projects up close to us, we tend to bend over, look down, which causes extra stress on our neck, shoulders, and back. We can remind ourselves, children and students, to sit up straight. Where possible, we can adjust our workstations to accommodate good posture. Have good lighting. Poor lighting, harsh lighting, or shadows can strain the visual system. Don't forget to blink. For some reason, when we are working on screens, we blink less. Blinking helps replenish the moisture in our eyes. Our eyes work better when they are properly hydrated, so don't forget to blink. One of the most effective exercises I use to prevent or alleviate eye strain are eye stretches. They are so simple that it is easy to underestimate their effectiveness. While keeping our head still, look with just your eyes as far as you can to the right. Hold for a few seconds. Then look as far as you can to the left. Then back to center. Now look up. Now look down. I usually do this 2 to 3 times each direction. This can be done in the classroom, on your own, before a sustained up-close activity, or included in your breaks every 20 minutes as part of good hygiene practices. Remember, a vision screening in the school or at a pediatrician's or other doctor's office is not a substitute for a comprehensive eye exam. It is recommended that children get a comprehensive eye exam before entering school and generally every year after that. If you have noticed symptoms in your own children or have had a teacher or school nurse recommend an eye exam, you should take it seriously. It is estimated that over 80% of learning is visual. Our kids need a good working visual system. Ask before making the appointment if the comprehensive exam includes all of these areas: eye focusing, eye teaming, eye tracking, or convergence, accommodation, and tracking. This is a lot of information, and there are likely more questions you may have. There are many good resources out there you can explore on your own. Here are some good search phrases, specific websites, YouTube videos, and books that might be helpful. Following are some testimonials of parents who had children who struggled with vision problems and what they experienced, and a retired teacher and her experience. Thank you for joining us in our effort to help all children reach their potential.
Before we heard about vision therapy, Peyton, at 4 years old, was getting headaches in preschool. And we took her to the eye doctor, and with the glasses, she saw 20/20. And so we just assumed everything was fine, and we went on our merry way. And in school and kindergarten, the next year, she would come home really tired. And she definitely was not starting to read like everyone else. And when she got a little older, I started homeschooling her. And when I was home with her every single day, it became very apparent that there was something going on. Especially if your child already has glasses, you would just assume they can see 20/20 vision. And you can see 20/20 when you're looking at an eye chart for a couple of minutes, but that doesn't mean your vision is great the whole day. And children often, as I found with my own child, can't verbalize that. They can't tell you they're seeing double. My child thought that was normal, so she didn't ever mention it to me. There was testing of the bead in front of her face and how she saw double. She saw 2 beads, a good foot away from her eyes, and that was shocking to me, but it also explained why she didn't enjoy doing crafts and possibly why reading was hard for her. So when she was diagnosed with convergence insufficiency, that kind of tied it all together for us. It gave us a name and a direction of where to go. Well, Peyton loved coming to vision therapy. We came twice a week, and she looked forward to her time with Miss Angela. Every single time, she would literally jump out of bed in the morning and, yay, it's vision therapy day. Miss Angela did everything tailored to Peyton specifically. It was not something that she would have done with every child she saw. Within a couple months, we started seeing changes in her. I think the biggest thing for her has been that she now loves to read. Her eyes no longer hurt. And we noticed, most importantly, that she wanted to read to us. When we see our children's confidence go down, I think we're personally affected by that because we don't want them to have low self-esteem. We don't want them to struggle needlessly. So I think that going in for testing is super important just to find out where to go, what the next step could be. Before we heard about vision therapy,
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm Dimitri's mom, and I've been his mom since he was 3 years old. We adopted him from Kazakhstan. We knew he was very visible. You could not see from that one eye. It was all cranked in. It was actually his left eye. And so we knew right away that we were going to have some issues. So we were kind of worried about that. But when we got back to the States, we found a good ophthalmologist, and we had an excellent job with the surgery. I mean, it went very well. We did a lot of patching. Dimitri was great with the patching. He really wanted to be able to see. But it didn't improve everything. He may be able to see 20/20, but he is not seeing. You can just tell. Poor kid, you'd throw a ball at him and it would hit him smack. I can't tell you how many bloody noses we had. And it was just constant. He couldn't play or ride a bike. He was very, very concerned about heights. He had no depth perception. He was still not recognizing people. And I was having trouble making friends and stuff because he just didn't recognize anybody. So we talked to the occupational therapist, and she started doing more vision work with him. And she just told us point blank, she said, I've taken him pretty much where he needs to go. I think you need to see a vision therapist. And so we were very willing to go do that. And we went and saw her, and she kind of explained the whole problem with that the eyes were working, but the brain was working, but they weren't working together. So we came over here, and we were so excited to find that they did in-house therapy because we really felt that he needed that intensity. But within 2 weeks of starting vision therapy, we were starting to see teachers were coming back saying, "Did you change his medication? Is he sleeping better? What's going on?" Because he's starting to sit, he's starting to answer questions. But it was pretty noticeable. He's completely at grade level now, and he's able to function in the classroom. He's riding his bicycle without training wheels. It's helped him make friends when he actually is looking at people and talking to people. His handwriting is improved by leaps and bounds. It's very legible now. Dima was reading at a kindergarten level. He is now reading at a 4th grade level, and he's going into 3rd grade. So he's really it's been amazing. It's been amazing. The teachers have seen a difference. He's able to pay attention more at school. It's kind of hard to pay attention when you can't see what's going on. So we're just doing awesome, and he's at his grade level. So he's got friends, we have play dates, and it's just really, he's looking forward to going back to school, which is pretty cool. Hi, I'm Michelle.
When I was teaching kindergarten, I noticed some of my bright, good-thinking former students were going to special education classes because they were having so much trouble reading. This really bothered me. What were we missing? What could I be doing better? One year I attended a session at a UEA convention that was presented by 2 optometrists. They explained about undetected vision problems that result in children struggling with reading. The optometrist showed simulations like you have seen here of what it looks like to a child whose eyes do not focus at the same point, and one of a child whose eyes cannot track words on a line. It broke my heart. However, I had felt I had found something we as teachers had been missing. I tried to share this information and did refer struggling students for eye exams, but the results were always that the student had 20/20 vision because they were only checking one at a time for distance acuity and not for what the two eyes were doing together. There was only so much that the school could legally do. But now we have a new vision law that can address these other vision problems. It is very much worth the effort and to be aware of the signs and symptoms related to these vision problems so that students can be referred to Tier 2 screening and get help. And there is such wonderful help. The change that it makes in a child's life is so amazing. My third grade grandson had convergence insufficiency, much to our surprise. He didn't like reading for very long and would only read graphic novels, but otherwise seemed pretty normal. As he did his vision therapy, he noticed the difference it made, and now his magazine of choice is the Smithsonian. Unfortunately, not all families will follow through with treatment, but there are some things teachers can do to help. We can be more understanding about what we require of these students in the classroom, realizing the challenges they face. We can shorten sustained reading time, allow students to look up and take a break while reading when they need to rest their eyes. Be sure students go to recess and never keep them inside to finish their work. Allow them more time to finish their work and/or to answer verbally instead of in writing. Let students use their finger or a ruler to help guide their eyes while reading. Be sure their reading material is no closer to their eyes than the length of their shoulder to their elbow. Encourage gross motor activities, jumping rope, crab walk, movements that require cross body motions. Do not skip PE.